What's up guys and welcome to FPL Today. I'm the man in the know, JNO, and welcome to FPL Your Questions for Game Week 6, where I take your questions from Twitter and now also the YouTube comments and give you my opinion on the hot topics, the questions you need answered for your FPL game. But before we get to this video is brought to you by FanTeam, a fantasy football website where you can play fantasy football for money. Play in their season-long game, their Champions League games, their Premier League games, and all other variations of games, including a weekly one every game week where you can win big pot prizes and put some money in that bank. So go check out FanTeam using the link in the description down below. So guys, let's get into it and let's get to your first questions. Your team is template. Pope, Trent, Digne, Lundstrom, De Bruyne, Sterling, Salah, Barnes, Pukki, all template, and the template isn't performing. I thought you said your team isn't template on Twitter. You need to break the template and get away from Salah or Sterling for Son. But FPL celebs are scared of the template. Okay, that's not as positive as I was hoping for. They're not all like this, are they? What kind of expert are you? Okay, I'm not going to say anything about your English language there. I already have 140 plus lead over you and I've only used my wildcard chip. This isn't going to plan. No offence, but your team is horrible. Good on paper, but it's not performing. Sterling is not a better option than Aguero. Barnes and that Watford fellow should not be a safe pick ever. Wait a minute. I'm not sure I ever said Delafeu was a safe pick. In fact, I've been talking about transferring him out for ages. In fact, I'm sorry. If you are going to come onto my comments and have a go at me, feel free. I'm really not bothered. But if you're getting this worked up over FPL and you think you're better than me because you're 140 points above me right now, only in Game Week 6, then come back to me in Game Week 38 if you're still above me. In fact, if you're getting this aggressive with a game that is partly based on luck, if we think about it, we're trying to predict the future of football games and try and figure out who is going to score goals and who is going to get assists. Some people have a great start. Last year I had a really good start, but for the last 4 years I finished in the top 30k every single year. Now this year I may have a bad year. The next year I may have a bad year as well. What these videos are for is to try and help you guys get the best rank possible. Do I want the best rank possible for myself? Of course I do. But with only 6 game weeks having gone in, the fact of the matter is I have had a bad start. I've been unlucky in certain areas. There's certain transfers I was considering making that would have worked out really well for me and I didn't pull the trigger. Captaincy calls. If I'd got all of my captaincy calls right, the rest of my team probably wouldn't even matter. I'd probably still be in the top 1 million. The difference between ranks right now is so small. If you want to have a pop, go for it. But if you think I'm not going to defend myself, you've got another thing coming. And speaking on that topic, if you actually look across the board on Twitter, on YouTube, a lot of FPL experts, and I don't even consider myself that, are having bad starts to the season. That is probably for a good reason. We are looking at the stats, looking at players that look like they should perform well and they're just not bringing in the points. Captaincy calls also going wrong. So maybe it is the season where the template just won't work. But the reason I've gone with the template is because these are the players that look like they're most likely to score points. As far as my team being template, in defence, yes, I have Alexander-Arnold. Would you disagree that he has the best attacking threat, especially from a creative standpoint, of any defender in the league? I've also got Digne, again, one of the best creative attacking threats in the Premier League for a defender. And Lundstrom, he's there because he plays and he was 4 million at the start of the season. Yes, they're template, but I've got them for a reason. All 3 over 20% owned. Lundstrom wasn't 20% owned at the start of the game, just putting that out there. As far as my midfield goes, yes, all very template. De Bruyne, Sterling, Salah, Cantwell, all over 20%, some over 30%. But the matter of fact is, they're the players that look the best to me, passing the eye test, and look like they could get big attacking returns. Of course, the Norwich game didn't go the way some people expected it to. But if you think Sterling, Salah and De Bruyne aren't good players and can't score points in the FPL, then I'm not sure I can really help you. As far as Cantwell, again, cheap midfielder that is getting attacking returns and is always starting. That's all I need. I don't care if he's template or not. I need a cheap midfielder there. That is why he is there. As far as Pukki, yes, very template, 42% owned. Barnes is only 10% owned. Explain to me how that is template. And finally, you've got to remember, we're in a bubble right now. We're in the Twitter FPL universe where everyone is showing their teams and you're seeing some very similar players in that. That is the Twitter template. There is over 6.7 million people playing this game and I've got players that are owned by about 30% of them. That's about 70% of people that don't own some of these players I've got. So, you know what? I might have been a bit triggered there, but I'm not one to just stand back and ignore comments like that. If you don't like the videos and you don't like my team, that is your choice. I don't want you to copy my team. I want you to make your own decisions. And that is what these videos are for. Okay, calm down, JNO. Let's get to some actual questions. So we got a question from Sarab Varma. I know I've said that wrong. You know me. I can't pronounce foreign names. I can't even pronounce some English names. But he says, why are people sleeping on Callum Wilson yet to blank this season at 7.8 million? The reason is he wasn't scoring big points in the beginning of the season, and players like Pukki, Barnes, Abraham have started off really well, seem more explosive, at least in the first 2 game weeks. So people jumped off because Callum Wilson was around the 8 million mark at the start of the game, and the likes of Pukki and Barnes at 6.5 and Abraham at 7 looked like better value for money. That is why people jumped off. It's not because Callum Wilson hasn't been returning. Like you said, he's one of the few players that has been returning in every game of the season, and he has now dropped down to 7.8 million because of that. As soon as he gets to around the price of the Abrahams and the Pukkis, he will become more of a viable option. The issue is that price. That is literally the only issue, because people are trying to get money for elsewhere in their side, trying to load up on Man City when they thought Man City were going to do really well, load up on Liverpool, and the way to do that was quite easily to downgrade Callum Wilson to a player like Pukki, especially if you did it early enough, and then you've risen your team value. Callum Wilson's dropping in price, Pukki was rising. That is why people are sleeping on Callum Wilson. But is he a good fantasy Premier League prospect for this season? Yes, he has proven he is a good Premier League goal scorer. So if you still got him and you're not too worried about the price drops, he is a good option for your FPL sides. We got a question from Jerome Timotheus. Do you guys think there is any value in taking a -8 hit to change Sterling and Haller to Auba and Son? He also asked some other people, feel free to go out and check their Twitter handles, and he has a concern Sterling has not really delivered in the past 2 game weeks, and Haller's service from his teammates was poor on Monday night. Now look, West Ham away compared to West Ham at home is going to be 2 different kettle of fish. There's going to be games where West Ham aren't that great going forward, but the thing is, I've read that Haller, because I didn't watch the game, 0-0, it didn't seem to interest me. I know I'm supposed to follow West Ham, but I had videos to make. Don't at me. Haller apparently did create some chances and did still look good in that game. I would not jump off of one player because of one bad performance. And with players of Sterling's ilk, I wouldn't jump off of them for 2 game weeks worth of bad performance. If you look at the likes of Sterling, if you look at the likes of Hazard, Aguero, there are periods where they blank for 2 game weeks. It's going to happen. Not every player can score every single game week. Some people wanted to jump off Pukki after he couldn't score against West Ham, and then look what he did against Man City. So for me, personally, as an FPL player, I'm always a bit more patient in these situations, especially if the player has proven himself previously. Now, what does worry me is he played the full 90 minutes in the Champions League and Aguero was rested. That is a concern. Could Sterling be dropped to the bench? But I've found worrying overly about who is dropped and who isn't can be a detriment to your game because you keep switching players. Sterling could come back into the squad in game week 7 and score a hat-trick. Some managers, you're never really going to know what they're going to do. If you really want more secure options, then potentially you look at Liverpool and go with Salah or Mane instead of having a Sterling instead of Salah or Mane, because Salah and Mane will nearly always start for Liverpool, at least more certain of that than you are with Raheem Sterling. Would I make that -8 hit? I probably wouldn't do it for a -8. Son's had one good game. Aubameyang, on the other hand, I'm very high on right now. He looks like the main man for Arsenal. He's now going to play in the centre. Everything is going to go through him. If you can get Aubameyang in and you really think you need him, I wouldn't be against taking a minus for Auba. I'm just not sure I would take a -8 to bring in Son. But of course, it could be that you have to make those 2 moves to get Auba in. If I was wildcarding, Auba would be a serious consideration for my sides. So what I would say is if you can get Aubameyang and you don't need to take the -8, I would do it. We've got a question from Brian at Blades Attack. Is bringing in a Norwich defender in the near future utter madness, or does the balance of probabilities state that they, like Chelsea, have to keep clean sheets sooner or later? To me, Chelsea and Norwich don't seem like sides that are going to keep many clean sheets, even if the fixtures start getting really good, purely because the way they both are playing at the moment. Chelsea, very good in the first half, control the game, have a lot of attacking options, get forward, score goals. Great for their attacking prospects, Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount if his injury isn't too bad. Potentially you could look at the underlying stats and consider some other players that could rival those two, but right now those two seem to be the standouts. As for Norwich, again, you'd be tripling up or maybe doubling up because a lot of people have Pukki or Cantwell because of the price, Pukki because of his returns. I would not go near a Norwich defender. Their play style suggests that they're not going to keep many clean sheets this season. They like to play expansive and attacking football. The only Norwich defender I might bring in is one that I think had some sort of attacking threat, maybe a Max Aarons, but I would stay clear of Norwich defenders. Corey O'Connor asked, I've been watching your channel years now. It's helped me out big time. Thank you, Corey. That's really helped in a game week where I've been questioned on my FPL knowledge, I should say. I have 2 free transfers if I use one this week. Will I have 2 next week? Need the 2 for Chelsea players, but don't want them this week against Liverpool. An answer would be much appreciated. Keep up the good work. Again, thank you so much for the nice comments. Corey, you will carry over a transfer. You can always carry over 1 transfer. You can't carry over 2. So if you make 1 transfer this week and you have 2, 1 will go over to next week and you can bring in those 2 Chelsea players. I'm assuming one of those is Tammy Abraham, and then of course Mason Mount could be a good pick as well if this injury is something that is cleared by game week 7. And guys, that is it for this episode of Fantasy Premier League, your questions for game week 6. Hopefully you have enjoyed the episode. I thought I'd try something a little bit different at the beginning, just because I like to be different basically. If anyone is offended by what I said, apologies, but it's my opinion, so take it as you will. If you do like these videos and you have enjoyed my content this week and every other week, do consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, and also liking the video, sharing the video. Let people know that they can get their questions answered here on FPL Today. Also, do check out the links in the description down below, including the link to my Patreon, which is only £1, where you get access to a private part of the Discord channel and season and monthly long FPL games, as well as the Discord channel link itself. It is now open to everyone, so you can join and have access to some parts of the Discord and chat FPL with the community. Also, thank you to the sponsors of this channel, Fan Team, for sponsoring this video. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game. 140 points ahead of me. That's a lot of points.